Lights out and away we
Bing
Welcome
bang.
to the newest episode of Paddock Talk, that Formula One podcast. I'm Scott,
I'm Kyle.
and we're a little recap a very, we'll call it semi-interesting Bahrain Grand Prix. Well, how'd you like it? How'd you like the race?
I honestly, Scott, I don't think we could have got a better season opener. It had a little bit of everything, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like,
besides but besides the main thing of the Red Bulls kind of running away.
yeah. Aside from that,
Aside, yeah, it was actually entertaining. We can't lie, but let's get into just qualifying. Uh, in F in Q1, we had 5 drivers not make it. Let me pull this up real fast. Logan Sargent, who qualified 16th, set the exact same time as Lando Norris to the 1,000th. Since Lando Norris set his time first, he was awarded the position. So Logan Sargent in the Williams almost made Q2 in his first ever attempt, which was pretty amazing. Haas of Kevin Magnussen was 17th. Oscar Piastri is 18th. Nick DeVries was 19th, and Pierre Gasly, who had his time deleted going off turn 4, started last. Notice anything different or anything you'd like to add to this?
yeah, I liked Hulkenberg getting into the top 10, at least starting up there. I thought it was a little surprising from the Haas. And
Oh
then,
yeah. Such
sorry, go
good
ahead.
one lap pace in that car. Like I'm surprised Kevin Magnussen did not get into at least Q2 or possibly Q1 with the pace of that car.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
Uh,
we'll probably talk about Alpine a little bit later, but Gasly getting his time deleted was a little disappointing considering how his race went, because I thought he could have finished a lot higher than he did. But we'll get into that.
oh yeah, we sure will. But going into Q2, Alex Albon qualified 15th. Tsunoda 14th. Joe Guan Yu was 13th. Bottas 12th, and Lando Norris 11th. And might as well get into the top 10 here. Nico Hulkenberg, who started 10th in the Grand Prix, but he actually was, I think, 7th quickest, but that pesky time deletion got him at the last second. Esteban Ocon 9th. Lance Stroll coming off wrist surgery, qualified the Aston Martin 8th. Lewis Hamilton 7th. George Russell 6th. Fernando Alonso 5th. Carlos Sainz 4th. Charles Leclerc 3rd. And the 2 Red Bulls, Checo Perez and Max Verstappen, 2 and 1. Kind of saw that one coming with the Red Bulls being so dominant. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Alonso could have punched to 4th or 5th or 3rd, but as we talk into the race recap, all evened out. So overall qualifying, did you about what you were imagining?
Yeah, it was. Didn't see Ocon being that high. I didn't. I thought Gasly would outperform him in qualifying. And then, no surprises from Red Bull. Like, I can't bet against them this year, finishing 1 and 2. So, yeah, no surprises from the top then.
The thing that kind of amazed me with qualifying, and then we'll get we'll get into the race recap. Red Bull seemed like in Q1, like all the cars seemed pretty even, and then when you notice get to Q2, it seems like they actually turn the motor. I know they can't, uh, but they just found more power somehow, and then in Q3 they found even more power. I mean, because they just kept finding more and more and more speed, and man, this could be the start of something that we see 22 more out of the season. But no, I'm both Ferraris on the second row. Seen them kind of fifth and back. But let's get into the race recap.
Hmm.
I'll let you lead it off.
Do you want to start with Red Bull, how their race went? We can.
I
So,
mean, we might as well get them out of the way.
yeah,
Max Verstappen dominated. Checo Perez was slightly less dominant, but I mean, Max Verstappen just was gone after lap one,
yeah.
after turn.
I don't think it
Huh?
was even turn one. Like, I remember when I was watching, as soon as the lights went out, he got such a good start. He was immediately like 2 to 3 car lengths ahead of Checo in second. Like,
Oh my
just
God. Yeah.
immediately from lights out, he was that far ahead.
I mean, I honestly thought something was going to happen going into turn one. I thought we were going to see a big yeet moment where somebody was just going to overcook the brakes going into turn one, like Pierre Gasly, who started dead last, just trying to make up as many positions as you can. But like that was actually pretty clean turn one. I was quite impressed. But I guess the big moment was turn four, uh, when both Aston Martins decided they wanted to get a tad racy.
Yeah, that was the first contact that Fernando took that race. I know he took one later, but it
He did.
shows how strong the that Aston Martin is.
Oh,
And then the little shenanigans on the radio right after the crash, how the mechanics were trying to like avoid telling Fernando that it was Lance who hit him.
we were hit. We must be investigated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, we got you, buddy. Yeah, yeah, we're right on that. But yeah, that I can't remember the last time I saw a car dive bomb a turn like that and then not break the front wing,
Hmm.
and the car that got hit not take it, not get at least a puncture. I just I'm just shocked and amazed. But while I was like, well, Orlando's decent qualifying. He's back, and yeah, he's just not going to be competitive. He's going to be mad and kind of sit back. But he sure proved us wrong.
Hmm.
Um, I guess the big highlights of the race: Pierre Gasly started last, finished ninth in the points. Um, his teammate had some issues. Esteban Ocon. How many penalties was it again?
Yeah, I've got it here. He had 3 penalties. So the first was a 5-second penalty for incorrect grid position. So apparently his
Mhm.
front wheels were ahead of the little markers on the track. So he got a 5 second
Yeah,
for that. Second penalty was a 10-second penalty for not serving the 5-second penalty correctly because his mechanic started working on his front wing point 0.4
like
seconds before they were
wait,
supposed to, which is insane to me. Understandable
yeah.
though.
The lineup. I don't know what they were looking at. Uh, Missing his grid spot because like, I mean, if he missed it, it didn't that off. Like
Yeah.
it didn't really look that bad. Granted, he was cheating the car a bit, pointing it towards the center, so that kind of looked off. But I mean, like, I think that was a ticky tack penalty, especially week one. Like you just can't be like, hey, um, next time don't do that. But
Yeah.
or
And then
we'll get
his third penalty was for pit lane speeding, where he was only over by zero point 0.1 kilometers per hour.
he he hit the pit limiter like just a tad before the pit exit
Yeah.
and just barely went over. Like poor
Yes.
Esteban.
So I was gonna ask, like, is this the FIA just getting on those penalties early to show the other drivers that like we're not gonna stand for any shit this year?
Uh, y- you got me, man.
Like,
Like,
just make an example of Esteban Ocon first race?
yeah, you know what? This is like dick kick him as much as we can to shit, just to say, hey, no, Max, if you do that, okay, we for Max Verstappen, we may just say, hey, no, next week don't do that. But
Hmm.
yeah, like some of these guys in the midfield, like I guess they're on notice right now. Like
Yeah.
just taking penalties like this.
Hmm. Because I remember last year, like I don't know if you noticed, last season I saw a lot of pit lane penalties, just like unsafe exits and stuff like that. So I think they're just gonna be calling everything this year.
Oh boy. it just always makes for fun times when everything's called and they don't let them race.
Yeah.
Um, man, I was so stoked with these hosses. I thought they were going to be competitive, seeing their qualifying speeds and even testing in practice. It's like, hey, you know what? They may punch for points, but man, the race kicked in, and yeah, they they fell like a sack of potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like
Um,
it's good. It looks like from the years prior, it looks from 3 years ago when great qualifying pace, and when the race comes, the tire degradation uh, and the pace of the car just drops massively.
yeah, I agree. The Haas did not look that good to me.
No, it yeah, Kevin Magnussen 13th, Nico Hulkenberg, who was in
Yeah.
Q3, just fell all the way to 15th. It's so depressing as somebody who wants Haas to succeed. I mean, I'm pretty sure Gene after the race, or I'm pretty sure Gunther at the end of the race, like, oh fuck, I got to call Gene.
I need to call Jean.
Put up like
Um,
fucking wing.
yeah, talking about like these mid-pack cars, the AlphaTauris weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. Like before, I was hearing things about like them finishing 2019 and like every race, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Um,
what did De Vries finish? Sonoda finished 11th, I think, right?
and Nick DeVries, which I mean, they
Yeah,
had clean races. I mean,
yeah.
both both cars finished with their noses clean. A team that who was having issues in testing and in practice and in qualifying decided, you know what, we're just going to keep having issues. McLaren. Oh my God. What
Mm,
first Piastri is the first car out of the race, which it happens. But Lando Norris, 6 pit stops the whole race.
yeah,
um,
McLaren. I don't even know where to start. It seemed like it started way before Bahrain. Just negativity as soon as they took the cover off that car. And then before the lights even go out, they're already talking about looking forward to Baku, which is the fourth race. First race hasn't even
yeah,
finished yet, and you're already looking towards the fourth?
that's a good sign, especially the whole driver drama year with getting rid of Danny Rick, with paying him off because you want Oscar Piastri, and and then you think you're going to have this, you steal him away from Alpine, who is actually starting to show signs of improvement. Like, oh no, we're going to be so much better. Yeah, yeah, you're not starting off on the right foot right now.
Not at all. And I
I,
mean,
I don't.
Lando probably should have retired as well. Like the 6 pit stops, I think were due to a pressure issue because they had to fill up a pressure thing in the back of his car every pit stop. So 2 technical issues in the first race. Not looking good.
Yeah, that's not good. I was watching the race, and I know they kept saying, "Oh, Lando's in the pits again." I'm like, okay, he's retiring. And I think I even heard Brundle say, "Oh yeah, I think they're going to retire the car." Nope, he's back out on the track. Like the season, just retire it. You're
Yeah,
going to have these is save as much as a car can. Like just go ahead and save it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
You can't like I the commentary team kept referring it to to the race as a practice session for them. Like nothing positive coming out of McLaren right now.
oh man, poor Oscar. He had a dip from Alpine to go to this great team, and oh man, I'm sure Danny Rick's like all excited. Ha ha ha! I'm back in Red Bull. Screw you guys. Ha ha. I can't do his laugh. Well, let's keep the disappointment going. I think I got one more topic I want to talk about for disappointment.
Okay.
Um, man, those Scarlet Red Ferraris.
Mm,
How bad race pace wise? Um, Charles Leclerc running, was he second when the car shit the bed on him?
No, he pretty much had third locked up.
Okay, it was third. I was just trying to remember, but okay.
Hmm.
Lose the podium. And he, Alem might have caught him. It might have been close, but like to lose an almost guaranteed podium position, and then due to a power unit issue, which you're great. Now you're starting off on the wrong foot. You're going to set up grid penalties further down the road with Ferrari, um, and their tire degradation issues. Uh, Even into longer stints, they had no race pace whatsoever. Like worse than the Haas's. Like Carlos, it just seemed like he was a second slower than everybody else on the track.
Yeah, it did.
But yeah, that's enough of the depressing issues of the race weekend. Let's talk about Fernando Alonso. Oh my God, L plan was in effect.
What
What'd you
a
think?
race.
What'd you? Oh my God, his performance was the chef's kiss.
Yeah. Just from the very beginning, like the early crash with Stroll. I know we talked about it, but didn't let it shake him. Uh, if you heard his radio throughout the race, like he was calling some strategy. Like it just seemed everything Aston Martin was clicking, and it showed in the results. He finished third.
Oh yeah, just when Fernando Alonso is on a team and he is confident in the team's competence, oh man, like it's all systems go. Like he is a different driver. He's really racy. Like I mean, those passes, like that fight with him and Lewis to get to fourth, and
Amazing.
and then him and Carlos going at it for just perfect, and just him on the radio. Yes, let's go. Yes, bye bye. And then I mean, he was just the Aston Martin's the best of the rest. Like I'm sorry Ferrari and I'm sorry Mercedes, which we
Hmm.
hadn't really talked about Mercedes because they weren't competitive. And even Toto said, this isn't competitive. We're gonna have to switch. We're gonna have to go to strategy if we want to keep going.
Hmm.
But man, the Ella plan is in effect. And talking about Alonso, we have to talk about his teammate, like Lance Stroll coming back 2 weeks after break, whatever it was, one
Yeah,
broken wrist, two broken wrists, a broken toe.
yeah, I
The
got it
guy
here.
could get a car by himself on long stints, and what, sixth place, like golf clap. I mean, just uh, I guess you got to talk about it. You're the Canadian. You have to pump his tires up a bit.
Yeah. I mentioned on the last podcast that it was I think a broken wrist and then a scratched up wrist. And then it came out after the race. He ended up posting on Instagram just showing some of his rehab and stuff that yeah, he had surgery like a week before the race. And then what was it? It was to fix a fracture and a displacement in his right wrist, a fracture in his left wrist, and a partial fracture in his left big toe. So this guy was just broken everywhere. And to rehab that quick and come back and compete in an F1 race is just he's gained a lot of respect in my opinion. Just being this like somewhat daddy's boy in F1.
Okay, he's still a daddy's boy. He's still a paid driver, but yeah, I mean, I can't knock the guy. Like that was a but besides the almost catastrophe in turn four, I mean, he drove a hell of a strong race. And maybe it's that Canadian tough grit in him that pushed him through it. But
Hmm.
man, I had him bowing out. Like I didn't think he'd be able to compete through the whole race, and he proved me wrong. Like biggest doubter here, and I mean, like I can't knock the guy. He did a damn good job.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was agreeing with you when you said that. I didn't think he was gonna finish either.
And even Alonso at the end was like, "Oh my god, like what a performance! Like
Yeah.
you just finished P in your first race with a new team, and you're complimenting the second driver on the team. Granted, maybe Lawrence kind of put a put a couple C notes in his race suit and be like, Talk about my son, please. Um, but
But
yeah, any other notes think about the race?
did we talk about Williams a little bit? I just
Yeah, how did we forget about Williams?
Yeah, I had them written down just because one thing I was looking forward to this season, I just don't want Williams to be irrelevant. You know what I mean? With Goat Tiffy finishing 20th all the time, like they can't just be finishing 20 and 19 every goddamn race.
Oh,
Like like
I
Sargent, yeah,
agree.
Albon finishing 10 and Sargent 12. Like I think that's a great start to the season for Williams.
And I even said on the last podcast they were probably, I mean, going into testing and practice, they were team by a large margin. To me, what it looked like, but the kind of proved what the hell do I know? I'm
Yeah,
just some freaking, I'm just some plug on a podcast. What do I know? But I mean,
no,
you
Scott,
know,
we're the
Albon.
professionals. We're the professionals.
Oh yeah, that's right. We have the podcast. The plugs can't even get on the podcast. Um, but Albon getting points for Williams, and Logan Sargent finishing 12th in his first ever F1 race. I mean, it was amazing. Uh, I mean, it shows that McLaren's probably gonna be the worst team. Is the new Williams.
hmm And yeah, I just think it's kind of funny too when Albon was asked about the car in testing, and the first words to his mind were, "Oh, we're last," and then to come
Yeah,
out and get points in the first race, great showing.
yeah. I mean, it could also be to a little bit of humble pie, like, you know, we're not gonna show our cards. You know, we got a little something for this field. Um, yeah, like Williams. I mean, this is only again race number one. Still,
hmm
uh, no, I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe I forgot about them. But yeah, points for Williams. Like I said, Logan Sargent, first ever F1 race, 12th. Got to tire pump the American on that.
Yeah,
Uh, anything else for the that you noticed during the race?
nothing really special from Mercedes. I thought they just didn't jump out there, except being passed by Fernando. But
Yeah, they were
no,
just there.
yeah, they were just there, and I don't know, for a team like Mercedes, it just isn't good enough, and they know it. They talk about it.
Oh yeah, they Toto has talked about how bad the car is, and everybody else has talked about how bad the car is. Valtteri Bottas, how do we forget about him? Uh, Finished eighth in the Alfa Romero. Man, that guy's just having fun. Like he's kind of like when Kimmy went to Sauber and then Alpha. Like he's just having fun, and I
hmm
love to see a guy who goes from a top tier team going to a bottom tier, still being relatively competitive and scoring points. I love it. Like I just wish we see more of Botas in the points, but you know that car is going to be an absolute dumpster fire in 2 to 3 races.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's nice for that team to kind of somewhat compete or be in the competition for points early on. I know him and Joe were both in and out of it during the race.
Yeah, and then Joe completely
Just fell
fell off
off.
the wagon. If it wasn't for Norris pitting 6 times,
hmm
Guan Yu would have been last of the finishing cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I have really for race recap. So this was Max Verstappen's first ever win at Bahrain on the ninth attempt. Also adding to that, um, the winner of the opening Grand Prix has finished second every year since 19 in the drivers championship since 2017. It is the opening day curse, opening weekend curse. Does Max Verstappen break that curse?
Yeah, he does. He does. Unless
Um,
unless they start filling that Red Bull with Red Bull, I don't see that car falling off.
or Toto Wolff gets a Christian Horner mask and starts dressing up as him and starts sabotaging Red Bull from the inside.
Yeah. If Red Bull hires
Like,
any of Ferrari's strategists, that's how they fall off.
yeah, Yeah, I agree, hands down, 157% that there's no way. Like that, there is no absolute way that Max Verstappen loses this title unless, like, for some odd reason, Checo Perez decides he wants to be consistent in a car and actually be competitive.
Hmm.
Which I can't see that happening. I can't. Checo is going to be the humble number two driver. He's going to be a good boy.
Yeah.
Uh, Fernando Alonso, I know we've pumped his tires a lot this podcast, but he is now the second oldest Formula One podium finisher at 41 years, 219 days old. The oldest was Michael Schumacher at 43 years old at Valencia in 2012. Like the the way Alonso's going, I can see him breaking that because he's got a 2-year contract with Aston Martin, and if he's still full of piss and vinegar like he's showing, he's still got another year or two after his contract.
Yeah, I think this is a scenario of like best or perfect driver, perfect team at the perfect time. Because the Aston
And yeah,
Martin's on their rise. Fernando, he's been hungry for a while. You could hear how excited he was even before Bahrain and during the race. Like he's excited to be in a car that can compete for podiums every single weekend.
yep. And even after the race too, he said they were the best. Aston Martin's the second best team
Yeah,
in F1 right now behind Red Bull, which it clearly showed.
yeah.
If Lance wouldn't have been at like 75 or 80%, like it could have been 3-4, 3-5 finishing. Um,
Hmm.
that's kind of all I got right now. Kyle, do you have anything else to add?
No, that was everything that was on my mind from the race.
Oh yeah, yeah. I enjoyed it. It was a good opening race. Again, besides Red Bull pulling away from the word go, like the action, there was some decent overtakes. Alonso definitely made it very interesting. I really am interested to see what cars are competitive in Jeddah in a week and a half. We got to wait 5 years during this off season, as it
Hmm.
feels. But wait, it was a week and next, yeah, week and a half.
Yeah,
They'll be at Jeddah, but we'll definitely go over. We'll have a show before Jeddah and go over our predictions for that race. But
yeah.
uh, if you don't have anything else to add, I guess that's the end of it.
One thing I think we forgot to do a constructor prediction on our
Ooh, yeah.
initial podcast. I'm pretty sure we're both gonna know who we're choosing, but who's your constructor prediction for this year?
Oh. I mean, it's definitely the Williams, man.
Oh,
Uh,
I thought you were gonna go
I'm
McLaren
kidding.
with me.
No, no. Yeah, it's definitely Red Bull. Like I
100%.
said, unless like Toto definitely gets a hair up his ass and wants to really screw with them. I mean, they're the class of the field.
I agree. 100%.
But yeah, I don't have anything for. I really don't have anything else to bring up until I'm just pumped and ready for Jeddah. Like I can't wait to talk about uh and get some predictions going for this next race.
Yeah, me too. It's yeah, good time to end the show.
Oh yeah. Do you want to tell everybody about our socials and where to catch our show?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So everyone can go to the Paddock Talk or just Paddock Talk on YouTube, Spotify, rss.com, and we're in the process of getting it up on iTunes and Apple or what is it, Apple Podcasts?
Yeah,
Yeah.
iTunes, Apple Pod. That's when we know you've made it big when you make it on Apple Podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Anywhere that plays podcasts, it might be there. So yeah, that's it.
And you can
And
also we just got some we have an Instagram page up uh at the moment where we'll get more content going. Uh Twitter as well.
yeah, yeah, we got Twitter. Fuck, we might get Twitch. Like we want to stream F1, like the games when they come out. Or what's the next one? 2024? Is 2023 out already?
123 is the new one that'll come out.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
because I think eventually it'd be cool to start streaming that stuff for you guys too.
oh yeah, it help us out. Like our videos on YouTube. The more views, the more we can get to do more shows in a week. The more we can be more, we can get very we can start communicating and try to maybe get some like online leagues going. Try
Mm-hmm.
to be with our fans. Like, hey, you help us out. You're here for us, man. We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
I am too,
But yeah,
man. We talked about it. We want to grow this thing. We want it to be fun for everyone.
oh yeah, we're definitely gonna make this. But like I said, the more views, the more listens, the more downloads, it just helps us out tremendously. So do whatever you can, and we will return the favor and be the best F1 podcast out there. Period. But anyway, I thank everybody for listening to Paddock Talk. I've been Scott,
I've been Kyle.
and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful time, and we'll talk to you before Jeddah. Thank you.